Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's panel, Game On, an insider's look at careers in sports and media production. My name is Alma Lopez, and I'm the partnerships manager for the Cal State University Entertainment Alliance, otherwise known as the CSUEA. And here at the CSUEA, for those that are not familiar with us, our mission is to connect CSU students with real industry opportunities across film, TV, media, and of course, sports. And to learn more about our events and opportunities, we encourage you to follow us on Instagram at the CSUEA. And just a couple of housekeeping rules before we get started. Please stay muted during the panel. And also, please feel free to drop questions in the chat anytime. We will get to them during the last 20 to 15 minutes of the panel, around 11:40. So just drop them in the chat and we'll get to it. And today we are thrilled to have two incredible Latina sports professionals with us. First up, we have Stephanie Medina. Stephanie is a multiple Emmy Award-winning director who has won Emmys for Best Live Event as well as Best News Director. Currently, she is the director of Fox NFL Sunday with Super Bowl, MLB, and entertainment directing credits. She began her directing career as morning news director at KTLA in Los Angeles, and she's also a proud CSU Fullerton grad, where she earned her BA in communications. And next, we also have award-winning sports producer at FOX Deportes, Yamily Escalante. Her work with the Los Angeles Football Club and the Los Angeles Rams has earned Yamily 4 Emmy nominations and a Golden Mike Award. Currently, she produces NFL, UFL, special features, and original shows for linear and digital platforms, and she's also a Cal State LA graduate. Before we get started, we want to just kick things off with a short video that's actually produced by Yamily featuring Stephanie. So let's go ahead and roll the video, Andrea.
Stand by, dissolve to green. Stand by, robots. Have a great show, everybody.
Are you ready for it?
Hold on, everybody!
Jeremy, your first move is big, big, big move. That's a great shot. And dissolve green. Roll it. Crack it. We're on, guys. Jeremy, roll the desk. Roll the desk.
Pues en este mes de la hispanidad es para mí un orgullo poder escuchar las palabras de Stephanie Medina, quien es mexicoamericana y es la única directora en Fox NFL Sunday, ganadora de numerosos Emmys. ¿Cómo te sientes? Podemos hablar aquí en inglés, en español, no pasa nada.
Gracias, porque mi español no está muy bien. Two.
The last place I'm going to cheat is off his
Six.
A ver, Stephanie, cuéntanos, ¿en qué momento tú decides perseguir una carrera en el mundo del entretenimiento deportivo?
Cuando viví con mi abuelita, nosotros no tenemos mucho dinero, no tenemos mucho de nada, and so we watched a lot of television, watched a lot of news, a lot of soap operas, sports. She would always say, hey, that would be a nice place for you to get a job. So I went on a field trip to KTLA Los Angeles, and I saw the control room, with all the monitors and all the chaos, and I knew that would be the place for me. Robots stand by, reds, blue, silver. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, roll red, roll blue.
Está de sobra decirlo que perteneces a una industria donde hasta hace poco parecía ser completamente dominada por hombres. ¿Cómo manejas este reto?
En los deportes, solo hombres. In Fox Sports, I have a boss, Bill, and he gave me an opportunity to direct, and I don't think many people would have done it. I really don't. I think that, but given the opportunity, I've worked very, very hard, and I was ready when it was given. All righty, guys, we're back live. 300's here.
¿Hay algún momento en el que tú te hayas sentido así, en donde digas tú, ya voy a tirar la toalla?
No puedo tirar la toalla. I can't because I'm not going to give up. No matter how bad it is, they're going to have to chase me out of there. But aside from that, I always just remember that I'm not doing it just for me. I'm supporting my son, supporting my family. And I have walked into many rooms, and I have been the only person of color, and I've been the only lady, and you feel you're not going to be good enough. 3, 2, 1, roll blue, go Vizes, go 5, take.
¿Cuáles han sido los momentos en donde tú te sientes que te pones esa capa de supermujer?
When you're about to direct and you count down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, es un feeling that you cannot describe, pero you feel you're nervous or you're even scared, pero a minute later, you're there and you're doing it. I feel like I have superpowers at the end of a good show.
¿Qué sigue para ti en esta carrera que has construido?
I would love to direct the Oscars. I would love to be the first woman to direct it and the first Latina to direct it. I would love to produce and direct a short film highlighting the stories of my culture. And then, of course, I would like to continue directing FOX NFL Sunday. It has been a dream job, and I love it. I would love to continue to do that.
Thank you. Good job, everybody, with that.
Great work, Yamily and Stephanie. That was awesome. You could just feel like all of the energy in the control room, and it definitely looks like you put a lot of work into it. So this is a question for both of you, and I mean, we can start with you, Stephanie, and we can move on to Yamily. So, what was your first job in media, and how did it lead to sports production? Stephanie, I know you said that you got started at KTLA, but I don't know if maybe you had other jobs that led to KTLA or specifically into sports production.
Well, I was in college at Cal State Fullerton, and I didn't know anybody in the business. I had no connections whatsoever. And so I knew that my only hope was an internship. And so I did an internship for Cal State Fullerton at KCAL, which was Channel 9 at the time. It went really well. I got to do a lot of things, but then at the end of it, nothing happened, which happens sometimes. And so I was starting my senior year, and I'm like, darn, I need to really figure something out. So I enrolled at the Fullerton JC, which then it would allow me to do another internship on credit. I did another internship at KTLA, worked my butt off again. And this time at the end of it, they asked me it was just 2 days a week. Come in 2 days a week, work in the graphics department, coordinating. Then absolutely, whenever they asked me for a shift, I didn't care if I was already working a full day and we were up all night because the news starts very early. I just never said no. And then that job led to the tape room, which led to the ADing, which led to directing. But meanwhile, I took any other opportunities. Sometimes as you meet people, they'll tell you about something happening, and I would just keep saying yes. And then one day I met a camera guy, and he told me, hey, the Fox NFL Sundays, they're looking for an AD because their AD is leaving, associate director. You should probably, see if you can get in there. So I met the director and worked really, really, really hard. I had a lot of people trying to get that job. But it just worked out for me. So that's how I started in sports.
Amazing. Yamily, how about yourself?
So mine was a little bit all over the place. In college, I was a theater and dance major. In high school, I went to a performing arts magnet school. And in college, I went to Cal State LA, and I went in undecided because I didn't know what I really wanted to do, but I did know what I didn't want to do. Like, I didn't want to be a lawyer. I didn't want to go into bio. I didn't, I just wanted to be in the arts or entertainment. And so I ended up being in a theater group and ended up managing a band, a rock en español band, as a hobby. So I needed an internship. So I actually cold called a record label and said, hi, I'd like to become an intern for you. And she said, well, we actually have never had an intern. Let me talk to my manager and I'll get back to you. Long story short, I became an intern at a record label who had never had an intern because she said, what do we need to do? I said, basically, I come and work for free and you give me a letter that says I'm here 20 hours a week or whatever it was, and I get school credit. And from there, I ended up getting another internship at our local Univision station, and that's where I did news. I thought I wanted to be a news reporter. I have minored in Spanish, so I can be bilingual and writing and and speaking and writing well in Spanish. So, but I did go out with the reporter and I realized this is really not what I want to do every day of my life. So it's okay to not know exactly what you want to do and try new things. So I ended up doing news, entertainment. I went to a trailer house where I ended up producing trailers and TV spots for movies. Came back to Univision and to cover for someone in maternity leave, just like, it was like the World Cup times in 2014 or something. And we got a partnership with the Rams and LAFC. And because I was such a big sports fan, I made my way in there and I'm going to produce your content. I'm your girl. And eventually that's what I did. So I ended up doing that for a few years before I moved on to FOX Deportes.
Interesting. Stephanie, well, Yamily, you've already answered this question because I know that you did not always want to work in sports. You started off with a career with dance, but Stephanie, did you always know that you wanted to work in sports?
I I didn't, I would say no, because I think my main and first interest was always news.
Hmm.
And I was a news junkie at the time when it was true. And it was just really I thought it was an ethical profession. I liked the TV part of it. I liked always knowing what was going on. But we always had obviously the sports, the sports news. And I sort of kind of drifted into that and I just became more and more of a sports fan. And it was really more the talking of sports that I liked. So I liked all the pre-game shows. I liked all the pop and circumstances before the actual game. So the talking before, the halftime show, talking about it after, that was what I actually really liked. So it's really, if you really strip it down, I like to do talk shows, live events, entertainment, and it just happens to be the subject matter is sports. But
Got
I
it.
do love sports now
Mhm.
because it's really the only thing that seems to be consistent and to be getting viewers and not losing viewers currently.
All right. And Yamili, I'm surprised that sports wasn't something that you wanted to do because I know what a big sports fan you are. So that it wasn't
Right.
like the first thing that that came to your mind when it comes to careers.
Well, let me go back. I
Mhm.
did want to work in sports. However, there was no opportunities for me at the time to work in sports. So I worked in entertainment and news and all, and we didn't have a partnership with a sports team. But
Mhm.
once we did, that's when I was like, I raised my hand. I'm the girl. I need to be the producer for all your content. And that's how it happened. I did become what we call a line producer
Mhm.
back for like the Korea World Cup. So I did do sports briefly during that World Cup, but then I had to go back and work on other stuff.
Got it. So speaking, of challenges, because it does sound like, maybe there was a bit of a challenge where there weren't enough or opportunities. What were some of like the biggest challenges that you faced early on in your career, and how did you both push through them? And whoever wants to start can take that question.
Well, just the opportunities that were not, available at the time for me, because that was not like we were not like a big sports industry. That sports was being covered more like by the network as opposed to the local station. So how I just, once I saw the opportunity, I just basically made them know that they couldn't go to anybody else. I had to, and basically you kind of like also you approach the situation by giving them examples of what you can do. I can do this, I can do that, create content, etc. And that's how I was able to start producing sports.
I just really think that it's kind of the reputation you build from the first thing you do. Um, so when I was in an internship, I worked hard. I never said no. I was there. I would work till 10 a.m. and come back at 10 p.m. and do it again. I just never said no. I can't tell you how many times I slept in my car. And then you build a reputation. So then when I did news, I built a reputation. When I started to do talk shows and game shows, I built a reputation. So then when I went to sports, that reputation just kind of continues. So you get opportunities because you treat people well, keep your word, show up on time, and you do the necessary prep. And I think whatever you do, whether it's sports or anything else, you will get those opportunities. Sometimes it's darkest before the dawn, for sure. I remember many times where you just didn't get anything. I interviewed a gazillion times, you just never got anything. But then every once in a while, someone will remember you and they'll remember you for something else. Um, So I think opportunity finds you when you keep your reputation really strong and pristine, and that could be in any genre.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And I always tell people, people are always watching you. There's always somebody watching. So you definitely need to be aware of that. And like you said, your reputation, people want to work with people that they like. And that's a part of, even
Sure.
if you don't have the skills, because you can learn those along the way. You have to, people have to like you, otherwise they don't want to work with you. But yeah, thank you for sharing that. So as a Latina woman working in the industry, have either of you ever felt like underestimated? And if so, how did you navigate that?
I'll let Stephanie take that one.
Um, I mean, it's kind of like the reality of life is the reality of life. I mean, you can say we're all treated fairly and we're all given the equal opportunities, but the reality is that we're not. It depends on certain places, and certain places are better than others. Um, and I've said this in the piece, what you guys heard is just that
Mm.
it takes just one person to give you that opportunity. And it takes yourself to be prepared for that opportunity. And sometimes I think, and I asked somebody one time, hey, I came up on this job and it's a little bit more than I've done, but I think I can do it. And their immediate answer was, if you don't have the exact qualifications, if you don't know exactly all the things, you don't do it, don't do it. And it just didn't sit right with me, right? And so I just thought, ah, man, how am I going to grow then? So then I just took the job, and it was challenging, and it was like, oh God, but I just did it, right? And so then again, I've done it now, so people see that a Latina can do it, a person of color can do it, a woman can do it. So I think the thing that I think about is that I'm making it a little bit easier for the person behind me, whether it's a woman, person of color, and so regardless of whether I've missed on some opportunities. I know I have because I wasn't mostly male. Um, you know, it's cool. What's not for you, it's fine. I'm so fortunate, and I've been so lucky with what did come for me and then what was mine.
I
Great.
recall,
Sorry,
oh,
go ahead,
sorry.
Yamily. No, no, go ahead.
So I recall this one situation where I was assigned to be a floor director at an outdoor event. Um, it's not sports related, but it was with Banda MS. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but there's like that banda has like 15 or 17 members. And the producer came from Miami and he looked at me like, this is our floor director. And anyway, long story short, I handled the business. I was able to control all these men that were signing autographs and screaming girls and all this. And I'm like, you guys need to be on set now, like, pa, pa, pa. And then I moved them. Everybody was on time. And he came to me and he approached me and he's like, this morning I didn't think you were going to be able to handle this, but you did an excellent job. And I'm like, thank you.
Yeah,
So,
Yamili, I've seen you in action. Like I'll never forget one what was it, the Rose Parade many eons ago where I was volunteering at Univision and you were in that control room, you and Blanca, and it was like a sweat box in there. And I couldn't even handle being in there. I had to leave, but to see the way like Yamili was working under like the amount of pressure of putting on a live event was really impressive. And like I say, to this day, like I'll never forget like being in that box and seeing you at work. So I know, that you have what it takes to make it happen. So with that said, what does a typical day look like for you working like during NFL season or like major sports events, either Yamili or both, Yamili and Stephanie?
Go,
well, I
Yamily.
can start
Mm.
as a producer because I'm the one who creates the content and, has to get the player interviews, contact PR teams, all of that. So I can have, a player from each team. So I basically kind of produce the content that goes on the pregame shows and on the game shows. And as a producer for Fox Deportes, our job is like to create all this content before the game. Fox Sports actually produces the game and we take what is called the feed. So after when the game starts, basically we have our Spanish language talent calling the game from their feed. So they do all the heavy lifting and we do a lot of just like the pregame show. So I work a lot on preparing all of the content of what I'm going to do, graphics, talking with our talent, like, hey, what if we do like this kind of trivia question for this segment, yada, yada. So I work a lot on what is called iNews. It's a program where we put the show together. It controls our timings, and then the day of, I'm in the control room, basically being Bill, the guy on her on the video, and kind of just telling the director like, hey, from here we're gonna do this, da 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 da, and I'm talking to the talent at the same time to let them know what we're doing, where we're going on break, etc.
Typical day for me during football season. Well, first of all, I will say Yamily is a great producer. She's very detail oriented, thinks of everything, and it's just made my terrible Spanish sound decent. And just really just did a great job. So thank you for that again, Yamali. Typical day during football season is Wednesdays. We have our first meeting. It's a Zoom meeting. Kind of go over the rundown. It's still a little bit of a, not completely solid, but pretty close. We go over that. We got the plan. On Fridays, we definitely go over like graphics and what the environment will look like, whether it's different walls and different looks. And then on Sunday morning, we get in about 5 a.m. and we rehearse everything technically. So we look at the shots, we look at the graphics, we look at the framing, what's the choreography of moving the cameras in, moving to different places. We take care of all that, and then we have another meeting, talent meeting, where we go through everything with them, and then they come out and we rehearse with them, and then we go live. We do the 1 hour pregame show. Then the early games will start. This, anywhere between 3 and 5, and we provide half times for each of them. So we're on there for about 4.5 minutes for half times. Then we wait to the second half of the game. We do a post game for them, and then the late shows start, and then the late games start, and we do a halftime for them and a post for them. So it's about a 12 to 14 hour day on Sundays. Some meetings and prep during the week, and it's just the 5 months out of the year, which is a great. It's great. You're ready for it to be over, but then you're really happy when it comes back.
And since you're both Cal State graduates, so can you just tell us a little bit about maybe some of the skills or something that you recall like learning from your days of Cal State that you use now in your career? Stephanie, Yamili, whoever wants to start.
I'll go on this one. I think it's funny because I have mentored a few women that are good ADs and have gone on to really good directing careers. And I think the thing that I saw in them, and maybe I can say see in myself, is that multitasking ability and that kind of energy for just life in general and wanting to soak it all in and the adrenaline of it all. That just plays into, I think, live television primarily. And so I think the just like a good energy, I feel it'll take you a long way. I think I'm not super organized, but I'm organized about like the shows I do. So I'm not great at organized, but I make sure that I do what I need to do to be organized. I have a great energy and a lot of energy, and I love the adrenaline. I don't get scared of anything. That helps. And I see that in other people, and I see that their success. So I say those traits helped in school, because in school I was working, 5 jobs, carrying a full load of classes, doing an internship, working for free, driving a terrible car, and you're just making things work. You're just making things work for yourself. So put yourself through school, you accomplish that, you get your bachelor's or whatever, your AA. I mean, that's an accomplishment, and it gives you sort of that confidence to go and pursue other things, other goals.
While at Cal State LA, and I don't know if there's anyone from Cal State LA here, but we had a TV show. I don't recall what it was called, but something about Golden Eagles. And it was a channel at the school. So it would air at the school. And we actually did the first Spanish language TV show of that, the version of that TV show, where we had, specific segments more like soccer or like, I remember that one of my friends was really big on community affairs, and she did a segment on the street vendors, stuff like that. So I just feel like get your hands or try to do as much hands-on as possible in school, because once you get to, a network or a TV station, being hands-on for me was like, whoa, like it was a lot. Like, I'm like, man, I didn't do this in school. I never touched the switcher in school, like because I'm still terrified of switchers. But so just kind of do a little bit of learn a little bit of everything. Whether you're think I'm never gonna do lighting, you know what? I know what that light does. I know what that key light does, etc. So just try to do a little bit of everything. So when you get to the real world, you're not like overwhelmed too much.
And just piggybacking on that, I remember when we would do our rounds and you do every function in the control room where there was lighting, audio, cameras, on camera directing. You'll find your thing, right? You'll find this. There's something happens when you find your thing, and you're like, oh, this is probably my thing. You feel passionate about it. You want it to be perfect. You want to learn so much about it. But so that helps you find where you want to really focus. But knowing enough about everything is a great advice.
So what's one part of the job that, people never talk about, but that you think is super important to know? And I'll just shoot this off to anybody who wants to answer that.
Um, I think, and it's not so much of a operational skill, but patience and communication, I think is key. Like be patient, but also be very communicative. I always tell people at work, hey, I rather have over communication than no communication because we work with a lot of people. And I'm like, Stephanie works with like two, three times more people than I do. Sometimes things don't get communicated. So just like working on your communication skills and not assuming that somebody knows something is always very important, I think.
I think also it's like kind of like the team mentality, I think is very important. You're watching all these games, you're watching all these teams play, right? But the team of television is incredible because, and I always say this when I have a new AD, it says, it doesn't matter if I don't make any mistakes and you don't make any mistakes. We're here to try to stop all of the mistakes, right? So if the prompter has a bad day, or the graphics has a bad day, or the tape room has a bad day, you're trying to help everybody have a good day and a good show. So it's never like, oh, I did a good show or I had a good day. It doesn't matter. It's the team has to have a good day. And so that teamwork mentality, more than maybe any other job, and I've had a lot of jobs while I was in college, it just is so, so important. So if you're the leader of the team, try to set a good example. When stuff goes wrong, let it go. It's gone. Can't do anything about it. Go forward and know that when mistakes happen, nobody feels worse than the person who did it. So don't beat them up. I mean, not too bad.
Well, and we all know that like in this business, it's all about like connections and who you know and who knows you. So what would you tell like a student who has zero connections? Like what would be the best way for them to start building them and connecting with people, if they want to work in this field, whether it's a director or a producer?
I mean, internships. I think we both mentioned them. I don't think I would have ever gotten a foot in the door without those internships from school. And I can't stress them enough. I honestly don't know how else I would have done it. Um, Internships for me.
Yeah, same here, internships and but also like talking to people. Like when you become an intern, like make it a goal to like talk to somebody different every day. Hey, so what do you do? Whatever, like how does that work? Like, kind of like what we're doing now. Obviously, just keep in mind, be mindful that you're not like interfering with their job if they're obviously open to it. But, talk to everybody, talk to the director, talk to the tape op, talk, whoever it may be, the lighting director, just and make yourself present. Be present. I think Stephanie has a key phrase that she always says, like, but I'll let her say. But always like be present and, let people know who you are. And that way you start building, relationships and people start knowing you. I, till this day, am good friends with my second boss back in the 90s, the mid to late 90s. I can't remember what it was. To this day, we keep in touch. And sometimes I still work for her to do stuff, side projects that she's like, hey, can you help me out with this? I'm like, sure. Because I think building relationships and keeping those relationships are very important, especially with what we went through. And I know you guys, like 5 years ago, you guys were probably just graduating high school or getting into college. The pandemic, like, really affected like a lot of our relationships. So it's always good to just keep them, call them, say hi, even if it's not often, once a year, twice a year, people that, like that you maybe could help you in the future. You never know.
Great. And, speaking about, internships, what do you have any advice for what students should include in their portfolio, or like a reel if they're just getting started and they need to submit, something in their portfolio for a producer, director, internship?
Mm,
Um, I mean, some people have the opportunity to have
Mm.
something to put on a reel, whether they've directed like a high school game or produced something, you know. I just know that not everybody has those opportunities. Um, so, gosh, that's a very good question. I think just show up, be prepared, be ready to go. Make sure no spelling errors. Make sure you maybe say a little something at the top that kind of separates you from the group, um, so that they pick you. And don't be afraid to use the things that you are. You know what I mean? Like, I'm female. If there's a place where there's a female director, if there's a female producer, or if you're Asian, you're whatever, Filipino, and if you know maybe somebody that's the same, maybe they have some kind of affiliation, that you can kind of connect to them through, for instance, the Television Academy, or maybe they're a big brother, big sister. So it's like as you live your life and you do things, you'll see that there's people involved in different things, and you can kind of maybe try to contact them that way if you can't go straight through an internship.
Cool.
right. And also, if
Sorry,
you
go ahead.
have, sorry, if you don't have like a reel, but you have, your social media channel or your YouTube channel, like that, it's always very helpful. But like Stephanie says, if there's nothing, if you're just starting off, I got an intern from a great picture he had on his resume and stuff that he volunteered at, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna call him, and I did, and now he's one of our PAs because he just as soon as he got there, he was like, what can I learn? What can I do? And he was just a go-getter. And he's one of the interns that still works with us.
And you just answered my next question. I was going to ask something about social media, but you gave us the perfect answer. Uh, where do you see the biggest opportunities for like young people entering like sports media in the next like 4 to 9 years?
It's crazy, and it's to say 9 years is almost you can't, because technology is changing so very fast, especially with AI. I would say like you have like a 2 year window, and things are going to change
Mm.
drastically, and they're just going to change so fast. So just looking at what I see, and I'm by no means any kind of like, predictor, but it looks like live events, live sporting events. Everybody's trying to get them. Netflix has them now. Apple has them now. Amazon has them now, and obviously the major networks. So I think they know something about these situations where you can parlay content. So let's say, for instance, the F1 movie with Brad Pitt, right? So you have a movie, F1 Brad Pitt. So then you parlay that into the actual a Netflix show that talks about these people who drive and race, right? So then you get to know these drivers, right? Then you have an affiliation for them, you care. Then it parlays into the actual event on Fox, IndyCar, on Fox, and then you want to see that, and then oh, yeah, this movie came out, I want to see that. So it's like they're finding this way to make this relationship with live events. People love to watch their sports, and they don't have to, but most people want to watch them live because someone's going to blow it for you,
Mm.
right? And then that just parlays into other bits of entertainment. And I think that that's going to be the future. They're going to grab all these sporting events and then bounce off them to entertainment and streaming and different kinds of shows, reality shows, and scripted television or movies. So I think glom on to one of those sections, uh, because those seem to be growing.
And
Yeah, I think the same thing. And the perfect example is like NFL films, right? Um, we have these, everybody's watching sports live. I think that's the only thing that's kind of like really surviving as a lot, as you don't record a game, or maybe you do, but you don't record a game and try to watch it later unless you already, you probably somebody will mess up the score for you. You jump on social media and you're like, it's over. I already know who won. So I think that's one of the things. And then you have like these shows, like Stephanie says, like NFL films that will do, hard knocks on the team. And that's the entertainment aspect of it, and it's all like one big, I don't know, like umbrella that is like around the live event itself.
So are there any technical skills or software that you recommend that students should learn like now to be competitively to compete in sports production gigs?
Depending on what you want to do, I want to
Mhm.
say there's more and more positions now for like photojournalists. Like basically, it's the reporter who has the camera, who shoots themselves, who writes their story, who edits the story. That's always good to know. It's not like that everywhere, but there are a lot of places that are now like, taking these it's like what we call a one-man band. Um,
Mhm.
and who can do it all, basically produce themselves, be on talent camera, and edit the piece themselves too. Premiere, I would say, is like the most common editing that we use. Like we use Premiere. We're also using um, another system called Live Edit. But I think Premiere is like the most common one that we use on at least where we work.
I mean, writing is never gonna. I know AI can write everything, but you can't trust them. So, I mean, writing skills are always amazing. Learning the switcher, which is basically like a big computer, if you really want to break it down, is amazing. A lot of in the smaller markets, if you want to start directing, you have to cut your own show. So the switcher, I would spend a lot of time on that. Editing is always a valuable. Um, what else we've got? Well, that's all I got.
That's okay. So if I was going to say, so how can Gen Z, especially students here, leverage their natural strengths like digital fluency, social media, or storytelling to stand out? Like what do you have any suggestions for that?
I mean, social media is it's crazy. I mean, people are making some amazing stuff on YouTube, on Instagram or TikTok and all the things. Um, I don't think there's any limit. You can literally make a movie, put it on YouTube. You can shoot shorts. You can be an influencer. You can tell people about different movies and different books, and you can I think they're Gen Z is doing it way better than me. I need to call them for some advice. But I think just I would just say be careful what you post. Um, Make sure that it is if you become a brand, right? You become a brand that you want to be hired, you have a reputation, that's your brand. So just be careful what you do personally. Don't mix the two. Um, and you learn all the things. You're shooting, you're editing, then you're like basically advertising. So I think if you can get like a good little channel going, I think you're ready for any job.
Yeah, I think it's very important what Stephanie just mentioned. Be careful what you post. And if you want, just have two separate accounts. One is your personal and one is for work. If you want to have it that way, there's sometimes like your handle says, your sports, and I go check and you're like, oh, it's all like party photos. I'm like, you know what I mean? So it's like, so yeah, definitely work on your brand. If you're gonna be into sports, post your sports content. Snackable pieces are always good. Everybody loves the short format, quick, fun. But if you're into long features as well, that's also good on YouTube. So there's a variety depending on what it is that you want to get into.
So what's one piece of advice that you wish somebody had told you in college? And this is for both of you.
Well, I already know. I actually wrote my stuff down, and it's basically what we just said. Keep up with the times, keep learning. We get very comfortable sometimes, like, oh, I've been doing this for, 4 to 5 years, and now I'm like, I need to take these courses on AI because I need to catch up. I need to know what's going on. I need to know how it can help me, how I can use it to help, whatever I'm producing. So basically that, like, just keep up with the times. Technology is always changing, and just keep learning.
I would say I think a lot of times people are trying to help you and they're trying to tell you the safe route, or they're trying to tell you, oh, hey, that's a good enough job. You're lucky to get that job, but it might not be the job you want. And I think a lot of times I played it safe, especially the first 10 years of my career. I wouldn't leave KTLA ever because I was like, oh, it's a great job. I'm lucky to have it, lucky, Uh, and when I left, which was hard to leave because I'm a super loyal, ridiculously can't leave person, that's when things just really opened up for me. And I started making a heck of a lot more money, quite frankly. But I always wanted to take the safe route because that's what I was told. And when you got something, it's good enough. But you only have one life, and maybe you're going to take a chance, and maybe it's kind of going to wobble you a little bit. But in the end, I'm so glad I took those chances. I'm so glad I didn't take the safe route. Um, and so I just say take your shot, man, and don't play it safe, especially if you have nobody depending on you. You don't have 10 kids right now. You don't have a mortgage right now, I'd assume. Uh, just go for it. Just go for it. And I don't think I heard that enough. And it took a long time for me to take some chances.
Yeah, that's excellent advice. Definitely go for it. The time is now. And I'm gonna just end off with one last question, and then I'm gonna open it up for Q&A. Do any of you have any resources? Maybe it's a website, maybe it's a book, an organization, something that you might recommend, or like a place that you might recommend to, students that are interested in working, in sports. Any, maybe there's like I said, a website or something that you could recommend, a book just on a final note of advice.
If you're interested in an internship, like let's say at Fox, you can just go into foxcareers.com and on the search, just put internship. I actually looked this morning and they're looking for summer interns at this time. So it's kind of like way ahead, but summer internships are already posted for at foxcareers.com. Thank you, Alma, for typing that in.
Yeah.
And then also you can get involved with like organizations. Like I recently went to an event for WISE LA, which is Women in Sports and Events. And there are not only women already working in sports, but there were students present. So that's something you might want to look into. And that's the WISE LA chapter for Los Angeles. It's actually a WISE is a national organization.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with any other place that you're interested in. If it's news, you can go to KCAL, you can go to KTLA. They have an internship, little icon that you can click on and find out how to get involved that way. And as far as books go or anything like that, I just watch a lot of what I want to be. So I'm watching those television shows that I think are clean and crisp and directed well. I'm still to this day, I'm watching them. And I just see what I like. And then obviously keeping up with the technology. So you're kind of just seeing what other people are doing and thinking like, and then you'll see, oh, I like this. You kind of get your own style. And so I think spending time enjoying other people's work is really helpful, and you kind of learn a lot what you don't like, what you don't think is good, and you learn what you think is good, and you kind of just can advance on that.
Yeah, and that leads me to what Yamily said earlier, how it's really early on in her career, she really discovered what she did not like. And I think that's equally as important as just figuring out what you don't like, because in the end, it's going to save you a lot of time. So if you go have an opportunity, you have a job, an internship, you realize, you know what, this is not for me. That's actually like a big win. So don't feel disappointed. Like eventually you will get to where you need to be. So yeah, it looks like, please don't be shy. Drop your questions in the chat. We still have about 10 or 15 minutes. I have one question from Callie Salazar. Have you ever experienced creative slumps or mental blocks, and how have you overcome that? And this is for either Stephanie, Yamily, or both.
Step away is what I do. Step away. I will come back to it. Go for a walk. I mean, do something that you need to come back. Like I really love, like when I'm writing scripts, because I do a lot of writing, I'll write them and I'll leave them at night, and then I'll see them again in the morning with a fresh set of eyes. And every single time in the morning, I'm like, oh, I think this word works better here. If I move this to the top, I can do this, blah, blah, blah. So I think just for me, that's what works, to step away and I come back to it. And that seems to work.
I've been doing this since my first jobs. I keep a notebook for if it's not a particular show, it'll be the particular year. And anytime something goes wrong, I write it down and I think like, why did that go wrong? What could I have done so that it didn't go wrong? And then I just reread it every week. And the list grows, because there's just mistakes, every little ones, and things you notice on TV, things you don't. And I just review it. So if I make a mistake happens, it's a new mistake and you can almost live with that. But if you keep making the same mistake again, that's to me unacceptable. And so this kind of keeps me on the path. And I also keep notes for different types of shows that I direct, like watch out for this. This happened to trap me, and you got to watch out for that. So you kind of just got to keep your own little playbook for yourself going with sports and review it from time to time. And that keeps you growing and keeps you instead of going backwards. Because sometimes, I do the Rose Parade, for instance. So I do the Rose Parade. I do it once a year. It's a year in between. So I just kind of review. Okay, that was not great last time. I could fix that. And it just keeps you growing. And it's hard to remember everything. So I will keep nice little notebooks.
One more question from Megan Sweeney. How has your
Mhm.
preparation for day show changed over time? And again, both or either. I mean, both or Stephanie or Yamily.
Hmm.
Repeat that for me. I'm sorry. Yeah,
That-
can you?
how has your preparation for a day or show changed over time?
Hmm. Well, I think every time you sit in the chair, whatever chair that is, you're learning and you're growing. So I think preparation wise, it's still got to look at all the tiny things. It's the tiny things and it's the big things. So that definitely doesn't change. I think over time, maybe certain people at certain departments might need a little bit more checking on than others. So maybe that'll change as time goes on. Um, but I still have the same thing. I still a little bit nervous. I'm still wanting it to be good, and I just have to, you start from one and you go through 10. So I don't think much has changed really, actually.
I think just like learning what from when I first started to like what I do now, the attention to detail and like Stephanie says, thank you, Stephanie, for mentioning that. My attention to detail is like everything, everything. Like when I first went on a field production, they sent me to do a piece on a car, right? And they gave me the script, and this is like, oh, so they're talking about the tires here, they're talking about the horsepower, they're talking about, and I didn't know that I had to shoot like every like image about this car, to make the piece look, great because that's what they wanted to do. They wanted this car to look magnificent. So now it just attention to detail to all of that is something that I learned that I need to like make sure that I cover as I go along. Like right now I'm working on coordinating a shoot, and they offered me this time this one day and they offered me this time the other day, and it's in one in the morning, one in the afternoon. I'm like, wait a minute, but my lighting isn't going to match. So now that's something that you don't really think about when you start or when you're younger, that, I need to do it at the same time of day so the lighting can kind of resemble like, that we're there the same day. So just attention to detail, I think, is very, very important. And it's something that I learned along the way.
Hi,
Hi.
Sasha.
First of all, I just want to say how inspiring it is to see Latinas in such prominent positions. It definitely gives me more confidence to pursue my goals, knowing that there is a market for me out there. And my question is, when I'm applying to other internships, because I wrapped up a really successful one with Fox Good Day LA at the beginning of the semester, and I know that I want to continue my career with Fox, what can I put in my internship applications to maybe sector off what divisions I want to go into, or how can I convey that I'm a sports enthusiast, this is what I want to do, please pick me? What are things that would stand out to you that would say, let's pick that girl?
Yamily, you pick
Um,
interns.
well, you just said you did your internship at Fox DLA.
At Good Day LA,
Uh-huh,
but
good DLA, sorry.
it was super awesome, but I would want to move more into deportes or the NFL sector because I'm from Texas
Mhm.
and there's two religions in Texas, and that's God and then there's football. So how do I convey that I know my stuff about football? I want to work in that show. how do I stand out in that sector without, simply saying, "Oh, I'm a sports enthusiast. I belong here. Please pick me."
I think it goes back to like I don't know if you did any sports content or any kind of sports stuff at Good Day LA, but anything that you may have, whether it's just fan based, like if you have, in your Instagram or I see that you're at games, you're here, or you have, I don't know if you want to be on air or behind the scenes, like just kind of be specific of what you're looking into, and you don't have to know exactly, because at one point I thought I wanted to be a bilingual reporter. And then, like I said, I went out with a report and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I could do this like every day. I don't think that's really what I want. So just don't be afraid to try new things, but just express yourself and be kind of clear on what it is you want to get into. Um, and if you don't know, just say, I'm interested in this, and that, because we all know that you want to learn. You're there, you're trying to like, see what is it that you want to get into. We totally understand that as well.
And I would say, Sasha, Alma, you have my email. Give Sasha my email, and I'll do my best to get it to somebody. I don't pick, unfortunately, but I will at least get it to somebody for you.
I would
No, same
appreciate
here.
that. Oh, I'm sorry.
I said same here.
Would
Yeah.
you guys prefer LinkedIn or YouTube to send in real contents?
Ooh, I would look at both actually.
Okay, thank
Like
you.
I I don't have a YouTube channel, but I have my content on my LinkedIn. So if anybody ever wants to look at it,
Okay,
Stephanie's on there.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, great. Nobody has any last minute burning desires? Come on. Okay. All right. Well, Yamily, Stephanie, are there any like last words or anything that you might, maybe think we missed out or that you might want to just say? Oh wait, Robert, either you can drop your question in the chat or you can unmute yourself if you want to ask.
Good morning or good afternoon soon. Um, well, first and first, I want to say thank you for being here. Your time is very, very valuable, and thank you for sharing that with us. I just have one quick question regarding the internships. So, I have applied to some internships. Fortunately, I haven't got on it, but everything happens for a reason. I wanted to say, is there such thing as being underqualified or overqualified for an internship? Because I had some steps in the industry for live production for sports. So I've done camera operation, directing, etc. Very, very thankful for it. But when it comes down to internships, is there certain things I may have to cut out or maybe leave in? And that's when it comes to the question, am I overqualified or underqualified for an internship? Does that exist from your perspective?
I don't think so. I think, I mean, if I like if we see that you have like editing experience, or I think that's a plus, but also if you don't, it doesn't hurt, because like I said, we understand that you guys are just coming out of school and you want to just, get your foot in the door. So I don't know, from my perspective, I don't think that it would be like you're overqualified.
Well, thank you then. Like I said, Stephanie or Yamili, if you have any final words of advice or anything you'd like to say before we
Just want to
shut
say
down the
thank you,
Zoom.
Alma, for thank you for inviting me, and Stephanie for also joining. I really really like doing these kind of events, because I wish I would have had this opportunity when I was in college to like speak to people that are already in the industry. So just what we said earlier, go for it. Don't be afraid. Try new things, and don't be worried if you don't know exactly what it is that you want to do at this point.
I would just say thank you again, Alma, for having me, and Andrea, thank you, and Yamali. Always love seeing you. And I don't know, I just think uh, when you're a cool person, I think people will try to help you. And if it doesn't happen right away, don't get discouraged. You never know. It's like sometimes I worked five terrible jobs before I got into KTLA, and I thought, I mean, I hadn't, I mean, it just it can get sad. And you're like, oh my God, I should have just become an accountant. But if it's something that you love, you will get an opportunity. You just gotta kind of have some belief in yourself and be patient, and work really hard. And I believe it'll happen for you if you really want it. It could be hard, but you can do it. Don't give up hope. If I can do it, trust me, anybody can do it.
Well, thank you to both of you, Yamily. Thank you, Stephanie. And this was great information. I think everybody definitely got a lot of value, and we'd love to have you back. I'm hoping that maybe we can do this in person. And of course, everybody on this call is welcome to attend. Please stay abreast of our Instagram account at the CSUEA, because that's where we post jobs, internships, live panels, Zoom panels. All the stuff is on our IG at CSUEA. And yeah, thank you again, everybody. Have a good rest of your day, and we hope that you were able to get some good info from the session, and we're gonna look forward to more.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
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 Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for your
Bye.
time, everybody.
Thank you.